did. I talked specifically about lifestyle because I think it's so important. I think, you know, everybody almost by definition has this triad in their lives if they're an athlete. You know, you'll have a certain amount of social life, you'll have a certain amount where you're involved in training or competition, and you'll do a certain amount of work or study or family or whatever else you have to do. And if we look at that as a triangle and we look at that maybe as a weekly thing, we can see when that gets unbalanced, and we can look at where we have management of it, and we can look at how we make it work for us. And as I said, in certain phases of the year, you may not have control of how much work you have to do because there's things in your diary that you have to deal with, whether that be at university, doing your exams or finals, or whether it be major aspects of work that do crop up from time to time that you have to deal with. But actually being able to communicate that and being able to manage your training around it and your recovery around it is really, really important, because what we're trying to do is avoid those high risk points where we've got high levels of work, we've got high levels of training, we perhaps then have poor recovery. And it'd be interesting again for athletes to see when they do get sick or they do get injured. And I would suspect, and the literature would tell us, that a lot of the time those things will impact on it. So making sure that you're not just an athlete in a vacuum, but you're recognizing what's happening in your lifestyle. And of course, we have absolute choice about how we want to run our lives, but we also have to acknowledge responsibility for the impact on that of things that matter to us. And I don't think I can't act as a psychologist in a vacuum without looking at that and what my athletes are doing. And I'm sure you can't as a coach, and an athlete needs to as well. And just seeing it in the simplest level as seeing lifestyle as something that has to also make sense. And if you want to go on the piss, that's fine. If you want to smoke, that's fine. If you want to not recover, that's fine. But you also have to acknowledge and take responsibility for the impact of that. And you may never find that you hit the potential or what you want to happen. So seeing that as part of seeing you as an athlete rather than I do athletics, if you like, is important. You know, so it becomes a chunk of what you are. It doesn't define you, and then you can align things, and it becomes a pleasure making your lifestyle match with it, and people understand why you're doing it. And of course, we can all have social stress to do certain things, but actually understanding what your priorities are and where you are on that triad, if you like, and when training is important, making sure that's working for you. And again, so if I looked at that a little bit comes down to self-knowledge, but it also comes down to responsibility, but it also comes down to the drive and what actually you want to make happen in your life. And one of the things I'd say is people just put so much time into training that quite often it's these little tweaks and nuances around the edges, getting them right, that make the difference. And that's when quite often, and again, I'm sure you would be able to tell me lots of stories about when people have breakthrough years, when they've made changes around lifestyle and actually you look and nothing else has really changed, but actually that allows everything to work for you.